Sorry about that first time. My internet went down. I think everything reset once the power finally came on. We have all kinds of backup stuff, and I think it reset or something. In any event, my apologies. Hopefully, some of you guys are still back here. I'm going to keep an eye out for comments. Uh, in any event, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the darn freaking other screen, right? We're going to screen share. It ought to be auto screen share with me. It ought to auto screen share to Google. Oh my gosh. You just, anyway, let's see. I didn't want that Google though. All right, I'll try to do this thing again. I guess it shut all my tabs and everything. I mean, I already did this report once. I'm sorry I lost you guys. Leave questions and we can talk about stuff. I'm just going to do the report really quick. At least this time I'm not showing my face for the first. I went ahead and threw that video out anyway. I need to make a new video for YouTube, so to speak. All right, so it was a bad day. JEPY was trying to make $500,000, ended up losing 1.6. Triple QY was trying to make 1.6, ended up losing 4. 4 is a pretty big loss for them. That's although it's only the second biggest loss this month. And the month before they had a $5 million loss. So it's not unheard of, but in any event, not great. IWMY, these guys made $1 million, lost 2. So, or 2.5 actually. I was reading my last comments after the last one disconnected. Hopefully the same people are back on. And somebody was saying that IWMY was leading the way down, in the small caps. And for sure it was. I will check comments in another browser if you guys want to leave any. But, it was a bad day for everything except Tress. Tress did well. Tress was up on the day, I believe, and it's been up the past couple of days. So we got 3 of us watching. After that first time, there's a miracle, and one of us is me, I think. So there's probably 2 of you. I mean, because it's my burner account that's one of the people watching this. So it's me watching me and 2 of you guys watching me. In any event, we can talk about it. Charles is here. Yeah, I want to talk about your straddle strangle swap, but this isn't a very good way. I need to email you about it. I'm sure it's been killing it, but I want to ask you some specific questions on it. I'm interested in it. Okay, there's no questions yet, and that's fine because there's really no one here. So let's go back to the update. Let's also get the chart open. Somehow the chart's closed. I don't know how that happened. I didn't close everything. I swear to gosh, I'm like a boomer. I'm so bad on technology. I'm like a boomer, but Xers aren't supposed to be bad. Xers are good at technology. They can be. A lot of them are. I'm like a boomer. Forgetting to screen share. And I was just so glad, I've said this a million times, that I didn't do something like that in my J interview or something that I know of. I did misspell his last name twice in the description and in the thumbnail, and none of you guys caught it, which is fine. It's not your job. But so no one caught it. No one caught it and gave me a hard time about it either, which is good. I caught it like 2 days later and fixed it. But other than that, I didn't have any snafus I know about. And I was just nervous. I didn't want to screw that up. I have a small channel, and He usually doesn't give interviews to channels that small. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe his coach is about twice the size of my channel, but coach has been interviewing for months, and somebody made the point that 6 months ago coach's channel was about the same size as mine. So I guess Jay does give a chance to smaller channels. Anyway, Jay probably helped coach's channel grow. I know he's helping my channel grow. I put on probably 100 subscribers since that podcast. Anyway, it's great to see Treasury up. I like that. I mean, TRES up. Let's look at TLT just for fun. So after next week, I'm going to put in the new prices, and then I'll update. Then I'll have the Valley of Death going forward. It'll probably be lower, but it'll just be shifted lower, but in this, similar looking going forward. But I'll calculate exactly where it is. I took a look at their strikes, but I haven't put them in yet. But anyway, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm trying to think. SPY-T kind of concerned me because its price was down more than its benchmark, and it should be. So, I mean, it didn't. I know that the fund certainly didn't lose more than its benchmark, but in any event, the prices get out of line here and there. And that was earlier in the day. That was maybe before an official close. Like I say, I always check the official word on the matter, which is Yahoo Finance. Everyone knows that. SPY-T down 146 basis points. Is that right? Did I see that right? We already have after hours. Well, I never look at after hours. Do you guys look at after hours? It's super illiquid, and I mean, there's a guy in Discord that trades after hours. He listens to this channel sometimes. He might be listening, but I don't know, maybe not. But he does really well. But that's super illiquid. All right, well, down 146 basis points. I'm thinking it's trading out of line with its NAV because I mean, what it's doing is real simple and real profitable and real consistent. Okay, there it is, and there's the spider. And 138, yeah, it's that it's down just a few more basis points than the parent asset. I don't get that. I'll do some research. We can talk about that later. Maybe you guys have an idea. It could also be a bad wide bid ask spread or a bad last trade. Maybe the last trade that set that was bad, and it was but it set the price, and it's not a bad trade. It was a good trade, but it was out of line with the other prices. In any event, I'm not that worried about it, but that would, if it started doing that every day, I would be. The whole idea of these funds is all the buffer you get, and that when none of these funds lose more. The whole idea is that you get less downside and less upside. Let's open up the buffer report real quick. What's everyone doing this weekend? Trying to think what's going on in Austin. Something's always going on. Nothing I've been invited to, though. There's always parties and stuff going on, but never at this house. Never at this house. Okay, let's check out some buffer report. All right. This is single day change. So this is today only, I believe. Yes, that's correct. That would make sense. So look at that. Today only. The only stock that's up is Apple. Appy and Apple out of all of these. out of all of these single names. And this isn't quite the end of the day. And sometimes these quotes are wrong and different things, but right now it looks like pretty much that's it, assuming all this data is right. So here's the indexes. Now, ULTY, I mean, ULTY is outperforming on the way down, but it doesn't really have a benchmark. It's hard to benchmark it against anything because it's such a crazy strategy. I just use the SPY because that's kind of the standard benchmark, and yet it's down about triple the SPY today. But there's lots of days it's up about triple the SPY. It's just it's a real volatile fund. I'm not worried about it, but not a great day for those guys. However, all of the other funds, with the exception of QDTE, TUGN, and IQQQ, did what they were supposed to do. And they got, less downside than the parent. Some of them a lot less downside than the parent asset. SVOL, JEPI looks good. NUSI looks good. I mean, YMAG looks good. Actually, YMAX got a slightly more downside than the NASDAQ. That's not really YMAX's parent asset either. I could build anyway, I could make a special index with those 15 stocks and make a parent asset. And I thought about doing that. And then I thought I'll just use the NASDAQ. It's close enough. Everything's compared to either the S&P or the NASDAQ or the bonds, or, in fixed income, they compare stuff to the TLT, the 20 or 30-year treasury. So in any event, that's kind of the universal benchmark. All right. So that's not good right there. So, but let's do this. Let's look out just a little bit further and let's just look at this month. So that goes back 12 days. So looking at it from this perspective, it actually is not as bad. Not nearly as bad. In fact, some of these funds are outperforming the parent by a pretty good margin. Murni, I'm looking at you, and in the other ones, there's ones that are doing great, Coney, Misty, in any event, and even the ones on the downside are buffering a lot, and no one's leading on the way down or anything. So you step back you give it more time to play out, for the law of averages to play out, and you do a lot better. And then we step back on the next chart to 30 days, and you can see after 30 days, most everything's up. First of all, the ones that are down small, with one exception, AMD. And there's a lot of ones that are, and most of them, and the average one is up. And there's some ones that are up big. And not only that, there's some ones that are up bigger than the parent asset. It's not just like one of them or something. There's a lot of them that are. So anyway, as you go out further, you really see the power that selling option premium gives you, and it puts into your portfolio when you capture that extrinsic premium. Now, it does other things to it. It gives you less total return, but it can give you really good relative results, especially in choppy markets and in down markets. You'll outperform other investments in choppy markets and in pullbacks. But you pay for it because in a big bull market, you'll underperform in any event, generally. So let's look here. So this is weekly. We haven't looked at this one yet. So I think that's just this month. Yeah, I put weekly, but that was weekly last month. But you can see, just looking, most everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing. There's no really bad standouts outside of ULTY. And I'm just going to call that not bad, but volatile. I guess volatile can be bad. If you don't like volatile, then it's bad. All right. So this is just April. So once again, you go out a little bit further, and I think we looked at this one or a similar one, but And most everything is in pretty good shape. And even the things that aren't doing great aren't doing terrible either. So it's good to see. It started off as kind of a rough month for these, and it's definitely been a rough day. Here's the one day. Definitely been a rough day. But you look at it over the past month, and we're really doing well. In most cases, in the average case, we're really doing well. How are you guys' funds doing? I'm going to check the comments here and stop just filibustering. Let's see here. All right, thank you. I got some comments now. Kick ass. Yeah, bad day, obviously. You guys are here. Kick ass, Danger Wiz. Yeah, I mean, that's one way you can look at it. You're lowering cost basis today. What's your estimate on triple QI? Well, I don't know. Let's go back and look at that real quick, I guess. Triple QY. $0.55. And that's really low. That's and I'm hoping it's not nearly that low. And I know why it's that low, and I haven't been able to fix it, and I don't know that there is a fix for it. If you guys know it, you know what? I do know one fix, and I know somebody else that does this spreadsheet, and I will double check that number with them, see if they had that number. The problem is we only have $50,000 of extrinsic one day. You know, some days you don't get a lot of extrinsic. The day before that was just 150,000. This day was just 200,000. You know, but some days you get a lot. So, you know, this day was 800. This day was 1,000,001. So that's bringing our average down. So either that was just an aberration, just a low day, or I have a bad number, which is more likely. I just thought I can ask. I know someone I can ask. I'll check on that number. Hopefully the number's wrong. But even if the number's wrong, I mean, 55 cents isn't the end of the world. I mean, you know, and hopefully, like I say, hopefully the number's wrong. Or the other thing is 55 cents assumes the second half of the month pays exactly like the first half. Hopefully, if that was a wrong number, the second half of the month will pay at a better rate, and that 55 cents will go up, and it'll probably turn into 75 or something. But also volatility is pretty compressed. I mean, I guess we should, you know, accept that it might be a lower month. But let's look at the other ones and see if they're saying they're telling the same story or telling different stories. So we have IWMY, and they're saying $1.08, which is right in line with this month. But that's still the lowest of the past 4 months, 3 months. Triple QI, if it's 55 cents, even if it's 65, that's going to be the lowest. Even if it's 75, which is what I'm thinking, you know, possibly, then it's going to be the lowest. But that's volatility compression at work. So let's look over here at JEPY. 55 cents. Now, 55 cents for these guys is right in line. So that would seem reasonable. Now, these guys had one day, they just made $5,000 extrinsic somehow. And they're still, and that's still averaged in, and that's still coming out to 55 cents a share. Maybe that was a bad number. Maybe it wasn't. And, you know, maybe some days you just have that. And, you know, in any event, I'm usually within a nickel or so on these. So I think we're pretty close. But I'll definitely check on the triple QI number with somebody else. So SPY T did it did this typical thing where SPY T's, it has two components. It has its spread, and it's a call spread. It's basically selling calls, so it's a bearish strategy. Hang on. There's a helicopter flying over me. I'm trying to stay close to the microphone, but without having to hold it like I was doing last. I have it sitting right here next to me. All right. So these guys, so what happens? You have two components. You have the SPY profit and the spread profit, and they go together to be the daily profit or loss. I haven't done today's yet. This chart doesn't update live, but yesterday, huge profit on the SPY, but the spread was at a max loss because they're selling calls. They sold a call spread and it shot all the way through it. So that's a max loss. So max loss for them was $12,000. But because they also own a bunch of SPY shares, you know, they were up $65,000 on their SPY shares, so they could absorb that $12,000. And now in the reverse would happen if it would have been a down day, that 12,000, you know, that money would have, the credit from the calls they sold would have been a cushion on the downside. So that's just kind of how SPY T worked. So anyway, today it was doing its job being a cushion on the downside because it was probably, today's result is probably like the day before yesterday's, where the SPY lost 84,000 and the spread made max profit, made 15,000. So the fund was down 69,000. You know, here's typically what happens. So on an up day, if you just held the SPY by itself, you would have made yesterday 74 basis points. Doing the SPY T strategy, because the call spread, you give up part of your upside. You just made, all these stocks are going to go crazy. Hang on just a second. Hey, Jackson, come here. Jackson, be good. Jackson, be good. Anyway, I just want, anyway, I know it's a live stream. These stocks are going to, they always go crazy. All right. But so it's about a, Jackson, come here. Come here. Jackson, come here. Come here. There you go. All right. So if you look, there's about a 20 basis point difference, and that's the cost of the insurance. I mean, when you do the call spread, when you sell the call spread, you're getting something, but you're giving something. Well, that's what you're giving right there. So the good thing is on a down day, it works in reverse. You can see the SPY was down the day before, 95 basis points, fund only down 78. So it just is a dampener on volatility on both sides. The good thing is on days that go nowhere, it outperforms sometimes both on a relative and an absolute basis. I think SPY T's a great strategy because of mainly because of big up days. I'm trying to think, like the biggest update we had was this one right here, up 1.11 points on the SPY. It was 98 basis points. It's going to be up a little bit less because of the cost of that spread. When the market shoots through the spread's a max loss. But if the market the further the market goes, when it's up 1 or 2%, the fund can still make a really nice, healthy profit. Whereas something like JEPY would be totally capped out. Like here's JEPY on the same day. They made 54. That's all they ever make on a good day. If they make 50 points, they're doing well to make 50. Because that's because they have a different business model. All that's in the video that I'm working on that I haven't recorded yet, but I will soon. You guys will like it. All right, so the SPY T is doing the SPY T thing. Tress, they did a rebalance. So I'll load that in option strat, but right now there's not that much to see. I'll make sure to have the Valley of Death updated for next week. What else is going on? Let's see what you guys are talking about. You guys probably have more interesting stuff to say than me. Not a lot of good news today, and Vivek's going over 100's not great. I need to look at Vivek's too. Okay, the coach has a bachelor's in finance and a master's degree. He's a very well good guy. Yeah, I like Coach. He's a good guy. Anyway, yeah, we aren't going to slam on. I'm not slamming on Coach. Okay, I'm not in the bottom of it. But yeah, Coach is a good guy. Can we get Theta in here? Yes, Theta. I thought I had it. Let's look. Let's look here. I think the back to Coach or whatever, and it's not Coach, it's everybody. Everyone on YouTube has their different style. So whenever you get an interview with you're going to get that style. I thought his interviews were great, and they were in the Coach style. If Retire on Dividends does an interview, they're in the Retire on Dividend style. minor in my style, but we're just all different. But I think we all contribute. In any event, all right. In positive ways, and like I'm always saying, I really like Panda and Corey. They're the two hardest workers in this thing. I mean, and Gen Z. Gen Z is incredible. So anyway, shout out to all those guys. All right. Well, let's see. What else should we look at? Oh yeah, let's do this. I thought Theta was part of the buffer report. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to do more than just put it in the buffer report, but at the very least, Theta should be. And I thought I at least looked at it every day how it was doing against this benchmark. Oh my gosh, look, it's missing. Or wait. Oh no, it isn't. Its line is just so low you can't see it. In any event, okay, well, that's good news. It's massively outperforming. The benchmark, which is TLT, is down 2.5%, and it's flat, which is beautiful. That's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I believe Theta basically does iron condors on the SPX, and they vary it. I've looked other times they did, but they sell call spreads on some things and put spreads on some things. One time I checked, and they had call spreads and put spreads on the SPX, so that was an iron condor. But that sometimes they'll have like call spreads or put spreads on other assets, but they're just always working that decay. Okay, so I'm doing a review on Theta versus the other really stable. I'm probably gonna do this weekend versus the other really stable, like bond funds. So if you have any suggestions, but I was going to look at Theta, and I was going to look at that one called HIGH, high, and there's one called like AGGY, just any of the like enhanced yield bond funds. TLTW really is an enhanced yield bond fund, and I really like that one. And Theta. So I'm going to pick the 5 best of them, probably those Theta, some of the ones we just mentioned, pick the 5 best, and I'm going to look at everything and have a little shootout this weekend. So be looking for that. But other than that, yeah, I mean, this chart here, I have mixed feelings about it. The buffer report is just growing out of control. There's just so many things on here. I don't get as much out of it. I don't know that I don't prefer when the report was smaller, like when I used to have about this many in it, just so you could focus in. I mean, but I want to cover everything. And then people write me and say, hey, but, and they'll say, what about my fund? Put Clip on there. I don't care about Clip. I don't have anything against Clip, but I don't know anyone who has Clip. But people have it. People like it, and it performs well. So it's nothing wrong with it. So I'm happy to put on there, but that's my point. So I have a quandary or, debate between putting too much on there. Jackson, stay here. Good boy, Jax. Sorry about that. I want to get a lot of information on here without overloading it. I want it to be meaningful and stuff at the same time where we talk about it and comment on it. But yeah, this is the chart of the day. This 30 day, I mean, it just shows you how powerful these option selling strategies are given enough time. Anyway, we've been in a market that goes nowhere, and the go nowhere markets are good for the premium selling strategy. So all that stuff is true also. Okay. I want to catch up on these comments. Let's see. Oh yeah, I know no one's trying to bash it. But anyway, it's all good. Let's see. Everything tanks. Yeah, hell yeah, go play golf. Yes, okay. Theta Cashi. That's right. CSHI. I believe so. And Bondi, NAGGH. High, yes, those are all on my list. So now maybe I'll do the top 10 or something and make it a top 10 list or something. In any event, there's a market for that. I had a friend in real life ask me, he wants some of that. He wants to do something that maybe pays. It's some kind of bond fund that's real stable, but maybe sells options and makes instead of like 4%, like a CD would make, or 5%, might make 9 or 10%, kind of like BNDI will make, or I think AGGH makes that, and HIGH. Anyway, they all do it in slightly different ways, and that's the kind of stuff I like, even though I don't really like bonds that much. I mean, bonds are kind of boring, whatever. But yes, that's going to be a video this weekend. So right now, I have the video on SPY T. The next one I do after that will be the one on the different real safe bond funds. Because a lot of people do want safer alternatives, because there's no doubt that selling covered calls is great. It's a great idea and everything, but it's somewhat dependent on what you choose as your underlying. So if you sell covered calls on an asset that's super volatile, like Tesla, it might be really good or it might be really bad. So, but you're kind of taking your chances. It doesn't really have anything to do with the covered calls. You're still harvesting the time premium, and that part of it's still good. But sometimes the other parts of it will get you messed up. Well, that's what I liked about this. You just have all the good things without any of the bad stuff. Is the way I look at this. All right, look at this right here. The one day it was just not a good day, but even on the one day, the only one that led on the downside was DIF. So all of these, even though it was a bad day, all of these, by the virtue of the option premium they were bringing in, it buffered the results. So that's good. Weekly is also really encouraging, and in my opinion, I haven't wanted to say anything lately, but QDTE and XDTE, and I don't follow them that close. There's a guy named Reaching for Riches in one of my Discords that does follow them. But they seem to all on the buffer report, they always seem to be underperforming. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if they, I'm not throwing any shade their way. Do you guys have any thoughts on QDTE and XDT? They seem to be chronic underperformers. But yeah, Danger Risk, that's exactly what I'm going to do on those. I'm going to do a thing just like that. Whoever was asking about Theta in here, can we get Theta in here? Yeah, it's Danger Risk. Maybe a Trust comparison. Okay, Trust. Okay, well, I guess if I do all these other funds, I'm going to have to talk about Trust. Now, I don't want to put Trust in the same class as these other funds, but that could be, hey, Jack's, knock it off. But I can talk about that in the video. But they do have the same underlying. So yes, we'll talk about Theta and Trust when that video comes out. I'll try to do that video. I'll try to do that video this week. But I think whoever's going to play golf, J-Boy has the right idea. It's pretty here. I'm going to take Jax to do something. There's no reason to beat a dead horse. I mean, the market's down. Here's what we learned today. The market's down, but if we look at the 30-day results, even if we look at the weekly results, everything's fine on a longer time frame. But yes, over shorter time frames, we got beat up today for sure. We got beat up today for sure. But yeah, so I'll come out with those two videos this weekend, the SPY T one and then the bond one. And then I'll see you guys Sunday night for my usual Sunday night, Max and Jax or whatever. I'll do a live stream and we'll look at the profit boxes and all that kind of good stuff. See how we finished up. All that kind of good stuff. So if you guys don't have any questions for me or anything else, I'm trying to check the comments. Oh yeah, okay. Looking for a cash equivalent type fund. That's kind of what my friend told me in real life. He was looking for just a super safe kind of fund. He's down with the covered call selling, but he sees, and in fact, he bought some triple QI or triple QY. He got some QQQY and he got his first big 5% dividend. Everything's good. He saw the stock drop 3%, but he got a 5% dividend. That's just the way it works. And you clear the 2%, right? I mean, after you factor out the stock dropping. So in any event, the stock doesn't drop every time too. In big up markets, if the NASDAQ is, or if whatever your underlying is up huge, then you'll, just like Tony, your yield fund will go up also. And, but lots of times it drops. Oh well. But yeah, he bought it right before and I had told him how much I liked it. We've been talking about it, but he bought it and then he told me about it and SPY T had just come out because I would have told him had I known to buy SPY T. Not that there's anything wrong; they're the same thing. But SPY T is just one step. You don't have to reinvest it, so you don't even have to be tempted to spend the money. I would be, and I'm going to be. tempted to spend the money. I mean, I mean, here's my question for you guys. Do you reinvest in, do you have to reinvest 2/3 every time or just in down markets? I say maybe just in down markets. I don't know if you want to average your price up, but you still want to set that 2/3 away aside and be prepared to put it in next time and maybe put in double next time it's down. But yeah, I don't think it's like that. You just have to drip 2/3 to the penny every time and then you're safe. And like I say, there's even cases if you do drip 2/3 to the penny, that still wouldn't make you safe. But as a rule of thumb, that will help eliminate 99% of all the bad stuff that can happen with these funds. But anyway, yeah, THTA seems like a nice, safe distribution. Yeah, I agree with that. And kind of, I would say the same thing about SPY-I, the NEOS fund. I mean, these funds there's another one, Bali, I think, is like 8 or 9. You could find a good one that earns, 10, 12, 9% or whatever, but real steady. Those can work also for if that meets your goals. Another good one that I talk about all the time is XYLG or QYLG and XYLG. They're the global X covered call funds, but they only overwrite half. So these funds get hella upside. They get tons of upside and they still get a decent premium. They get about 6% a year. I mean, so so it's a 0.5% a month, but I mean, that's not terrible. I mean, it depends on what your needs are because you get a lot of growth with that too. You're getting 0.5% a month with a ton of growth. So in any event, I get excited about these things. All right, guys, I wish there's more to talk about, but it's Friday, the end of the week. I'm trying to look through my tabs to see if there's anything that I wanted to talk about. I don't know. I guess I need to just go get busy on this Spy Tube video. I know you guys are going to like it. It's going to be one of my best videos in a long time. So I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've had an original video come out where I scripted it out and stuff. So, all right, guys, you guys have a great weekend and I will talk to you later.